to the UNEP OzonAction webinar on inspiring women to pursue careers in refrigeration and air conditioning and heat pumps. This event is part of the 2021 World Refrigeration Day campaign, which we are proudly partnered with HVACR, IIR, Israel, U3RARC, and World Refrigeration Day Secretariat under the theme of Cooling Champions, Cool Careers for a Better World. Therefore, allow me to start by welcoming and inviting Mr. Steve Gill from the World Refrigeration Day Secretariat to make opening remarks about the World Refrigeration Day and this year's campaign. Steve is the father of the Refrigeration Day, so I will give you the floor, Steve. Floor is yours.
Thank you, Anne, and thank you for the warm introduction, and thank you to UNEP OzonAction for hosting today's event. As you heard, it is part of a series, and so thank you to all the campaign partners. But hello and greetings from England in the UK. I am honoured and delighted to be here, but I'll be as brief as I can because I'd rather hear from the women today rather than hear myself speak. So I know Jim is speaking after me, but it is Women's Day, so we will both be brief, I hope. Today is a very, very special day because not only are we celebrating World Refrigeration Day, or part of the celebrations, it's also INWED, International Women in Engineering Day. This is a fabulous day to have both celebrations to celebrate these incredible women in refrigeration, air conditioning and heat pumps around the world. Today's theme or this year's theme for INWED is Engineering Heroes. And as you've heard already from Anne, the theme for WRD is Cooling Champions, both of which are perfect. Because the people in our sector, I believe, are truly superheroes, making a genuine difference to society today. And I think we can't thank them and speak high enough of what they're doing. I'd like to say a huge thanks to all the women around the world that are cooling champions for everything they're doing to make the world a better place. We will hear all about some of them later and what you can do to get into the industry. But also, I've just mentioned Jim, and both and I are going to be brief. I'd also like to say thank you to the men who champion and support women cooling champions, because we're all in this together. We rely on each other. Allies is a very short word. Ally is a very short word, but it means such a lot. We have to support, respect, help, friend, all these things that are rolled into such a small word we have to do together. So thank you very much. I'm looking forward to this event. And remember, all of you are cooling champions. Thank you, and over to you, Jim. Or back to Anne, maybe.
Thank you very much, Steve. And the next presenter does not really need an introduction, as he is very well known to all of you. So he is the acting head of United Nations Environment Program's OzonAction unit. The floor is yours, Jim.
Thank you, Anne. Thanks, and thanks, Steve. I'll try to meet your expectations. So good afternoon, good evening, good morning, everyone. So as the Environment Authority within the UN family, one of UNEP's roles is as an implementing agency of the Montreal Protocol's Multilateral Fund. And as many of you know, our program helps all 147 developing countries meet and sustain their compliance commitments under the treaty. As Steve mentioned, OzonAction is also one of the founding members of World Refrigeration Day, and we're really pleased to see how this has grown to become a major international event for raising awareness about key issues that are related to this sector. So we're very proud to join with WRD Secretariat and the other partners for this and other events. So since this year's theme is on careers, we decided to focus on inspiring women to pursue careers in this sector. So you may ask, why did we pick this theme, and why is UNEP interested in promoting careers in any sector? So next slide, please. So the first reason is that since we're part of the United Nations, UNEP supports and helps to implement Agenda 2030, which is commonly known as the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. So all UN member states, including your government, have agreed to these 17 goals and their associated 169 indicators. And the SDGs are a universal call to action to end poverty, to protect the planet, and to improve the lives and prospects of everyone, everywhere. And one of these goals, number 5, is gender equality. Now, gender equality is not only a fundamental human right, but it's also a necessary foundation for a peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable world. Now, there's been progress made over the last few decades. More girls are going to school, fewer girls are forced into early marriage, more women are serving in parliament and positions of leadership, and laws are being reformed to advance gender equality. However, despite these gains, many challenges still remain. There's discriminatory laws and social norms that remain pervasive. Women continue to be underrepresented at all levels of political leadership. And 1 in 5 women and girls still report experiencing physical or sexual violence. Add to this the COVID-19 pandemic, which exacerbates these existing inequalities for women and girls, and you see the picture. Now, this webinar, however, is focusing on the positive side and on the prospect of a brighter, more inclusive future by increasing the effectiveness and participation and equal opportunities for women in the workplace, by promoting access to economic resources, by empowering women and girls at all levels. So we're trying to contribute to this today by holding up examples of successful women who are sharing their perspective about the great prospects for other women to join their field. Next slide, please. But what do the SDGs have to do with refrigerators, with air conditioners, and heat pumps? Well, this sector is essential for the success of many of the SDGs. We can easily connect how it positively impacts, either directly or indirectly, many of the goals, ranging from food security to public health to quality of life to environmental protection, notably climate action, but also technological development, education, and employment. And while some of these links with the sector are more obvious, like the contributions of the cold chain to zero hunger or the refrigerant transition to climate action, one of the SDGs that is often overlooked in relation to refrigeration, air conditioning, and heat pump sector is gender equality. So this sector already contributes a lot to this indicator, but it is not well quantified or outreached. And this is also what we're trying to do in this webinar. So what's the connection with the Montreal Protocol? Next slide. So the Montreal Protocol is the preeminent global policy instrument and financing mechanism that supports the transition of refrigerants worldwide. The protocol is reducing emissions of ozone-depleting substances by phasing out HCFCs, and thanks to the Kigali Amendment, by reducing greenhouse gas emissions through phasing down HFCs and promoting energy efficiency. Therefore, this treaty is a powerful instrument for ozone protection and contributing to achieving zero net emissions. The nexus of all of this activity is the refrigeration, air conditioning, and heat pump sector. The Montreal Protocol is successful and on track thanks to a very large degree to the dedication and ingenuity of this sector worldwide. Therefore, UNEP has a direct interest in the success of your sector. The professionalism, skill level, and organization of the sector directly impacts the environment, including the ozone layer and Earth's climate. We therefore have an interest in promoting excellence in refrigeration, air conditioning, and heat pumps, and women are one of the keys to achieving it. Next slide, please. I'd like to note that last year, OzonAction conducted a series of regional webinars on gender mainstreaming in the Montreal Protocol in support of the Multilateral Fund's gender policy. And we also introduced a book with UN Women profiling individual women working in this sector. As I mentioned earlier, despite improvements around the world, full gender equality remains unreached. And this includes for the refrigeration, air conditioning, and heat pump sector. And although women represent half of the world's population, they are woefully underrepresented in science, technology, engineering, and math fields, the so-called STEM fields. And this holds true for the refrigeration and air conditioning sector as well. If you ask the average person on the street, who do they think designs, manufactures, installs, and services the refrigeration and air conditioning equipment that cools our homes and offices, that keeps our food fresh and preserves our vaccines, most people would typically not think of a woman first. And yet they should. Women engineers, professors, technicians, trainers, and business owners are increasingly working in this traditionally male-dominated field, and they are making significant contribution to its professional development. It's a booming sector that's projected to grow in the double digits in many countries over the next decade. It needs an infusion of skilled professionals and workers to remain vibrant. And there are many jobs and opportunities available, but women and girls first need to open their horizons and consider refrigeration, air conditioning, and heat pumps as a career option. They need to see this as a possibility for them. So we need to convince more young people, including notably more women and girls, to pursue careers in this field. Next slide. So the inspiring examples and the perspectives that are going to be shared by our speakers today will help make that a reality. So with those words, I thank you and hope I kept the time. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Tim, for your inspiring words. From Paris, we are going to Lebanon. First, let me introduce you Dr. Nesreen Kaddar, who is a professor of mechanical engineering and director of the UNEP Angela Master Institute of Energy and Natural Resources at the American University of Beirut. She a Bachelor of Mechanical Engineer from Kuwait University, her master's and PhD degrees from Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And now we are a little bit also checking her research, which is focused on sustainable air conditioning with renewable energy integration, personalized ventilation, bioheat modeling, body cooling methods, thermal comfort, indoor air quality and building energy performance, hybrid cooling and power systems to meet building needs. One little thing I would like to also to highlight. In 2014, she was listed by the Muslim Science amongst the top 20 most influential women in science and in the Islamic world, and also she is a fellow of ASHRAE. Dr. Nesreen, the floor is yours now.
Thank you, Anne, for this presentation. And I feel lucky that I had this opportunity today to talk to a crowd about a career in refrigeration, air conditioning, and heat pump field. So I will approach this from the education side in order to encourage more women to have a cool career. So the first thing, you know, in my generation, a career in refrigeration and air conditioning and heat pump was actually perceived as something, you know, a career that is dominated by men. It's construction related. It's a commodity installation. It's too traditional and perhaps maybe not so innovative. It's not about people. It's not about societal needs. And it didn't have a clear career path. That was, you know, my generation in the 80s when I started my graduate education. Now, I looked up a study that was done by Colombo et al., and it does talk about the increasingly shortage of professionals in refrigeration. And in order to know or to sort of come up with quantitatively how many women are actually in that profession, they went and checked the membership of associations and organizations and so on that are working in the field, and only 6% of women were members. So that means that they are still underrepresented. At the same time, promoting the profession among younger generations is challenged with the perception among young women that it is a profession that does not have or it lacks communal goals. So I will be talking about why so few women are in this field, and then what are the communal goals that the women look for when they are considering their career choices. So why so few women? First of all, it's the perception of the field. There are little academic programs that cater to women's interests and communicate the potential opportunities and breadth of the field that could meet their communal perception goals. There is also lack of female role models in the profession and in the education, appealing career opportunities that's connected with the lack of female role models. And then welcoming environment at work, belonging, mentoring, the bias that you could find. It's like you are challenged at every step. And then with leadership and promotion, it's always balanced with respect to family needs. At the same time, communal goals for women are very important to attract them to go into a certain field. And this is in a study by the American Association of University Women, published in 2015. Women tend to go for goals where you would like to be serving a community, working with people, unselfishness, helping others, connecting with others, serving humanities. What is best than, bringing back our Earth to become the cool planet that we want, attending to others, caring for others. Instead of comparing this to, the typical career goals of having power, recognition, financial reward, success, self-direction, demonstration of skill and competition. So how can I demonstrate the field to have these communal agentic goals? And I ask you the question, it seems like women are drawn to engineering or technical projects that attempt to achieve societal good. And I ask you, is it true? And I tell you it is true, because there have been experiences at other universities, and then I saw that at AUB, where when you offer a course about development that relates to lives of people, whether it is for poverty, whether it is for design for sustainable communities, it just attracted women. 70% or more than 70% of class enrollment would be females in these such programs. So with regard to the refrigeration and air conditioning, heat pump field, I ask myself, is there room for women's contribution and why? And I will say yes. And why? Because the field has changed. It's a changing field because it fits as the head of the ozone program and so on said, it is related to the strategic goals of the UN, changing field, and it has increasing role in the global economy. So the field now is targeting holistic sustainable engineering solution in food, health, energy, and environmental domains. At the same time, the intertwined relation of health and the built environment and occupants has become very important. And this is something that attracts women. The advancement that we have is always towards more centered human designs. There's increased production of a new research with local and global relevance. So development and integration of smart, data-driven, people-driven, data-driven technology in HVAC. All of these will actually be matched with market needs for professionals with up-to-date skills. Remember that the post-pandemic dimension of having holistic building design strategies and standards, there are more industries that are wanting to comply for changing standards for combating global warming. That is very much connected to the field and the need for, changing professionals' profiles and expectations. This is where we have room for women. And I want to tell you the story about if the refrigeration, air conditioning, and heat pump is connected to well-being of people and their welfare, then it should have adequate representation of both men and women. We both need to have solutions that are fully considerate of women and men need and society need. So how to attract women to this field? I'll tell you what we did at AUB, and I'll go quickly over this before I get the bill. Mechanical engineering is one of the programs that is considered a feeder program to the refrigeration air conditioning field. Women are already underrepresented in mechanical engineering. Faculty started, offering courses or technical electives that relate energy, sustainability, comfort, and air quality. And those have actually attracted lots of women to take the courses, not even from mechanical engineering. So it triggered that we can develop a graduate interdisciplinary RCHP program to attract women to the cool careers. These programs were tailored to focus on the field as driver for human well-being and sustainable futures, and they were associated with exciting research projects that have impact on local and regional community in a positive way. So over a decade or more, we started with a program that focused on energy efficiency and building in 2008. We reformed it 10 years later, and that has already representation. 40% of the students in that program graduated or so far are 40% women. There are more than 60 plus master theses, tons of published papers and research in this area because of the program. Then we went into reaching out for professionals, like an online professional diploma in green technology that had 3 concentrations in energy, water, and buildings. And this was the first program in the region that we had done with LAU and AUC. AUC is the American University in Cairo, and LAU, Lebanese American University. And this has currently enrolled 250 students, 60 plus already graduated, 32% of those are women. And then we ended up coming up with a master program in 2016, Master of Science in Energy Studies, highly interdisciplinary. Buildings, some of the building technical electives were actually courses accepted in this program, but the student added the social science dimension to this to relate to policy and socio-economic issues related to energy issues. And then recently, after all of that, we decided that the master of this initial master could actually become a diploma that is offered to professionals focused on building energy systems. Right now, we just started this a semester ago. We have 8 students enrolled, 50% women, and we have more to come who are asking about this. So what we learned that we have already got programs that are attractive to women and professionals with diverse backgrounds. We have equipped these professionals with the skills. They were able to reach to us when we had the online modality. The research outcomes had faster path to market because we teach it in the classroom. We built a community of professionals who were engaged and had presence in their activity, in all our activities, webinars, conferences. Anytime we send something to them, everybody joins. And then where are these women now? More than 40 women graduates have taken career paths in RACHP and consulting, design, research, and field work. A couple of our women have actually established a sustainability unit in Dar al-Handasa. And they were able to, they were checking, they were so innovative in the way they evaluate this. All right, I'll be done in a minute. Many women have gone into working in Lebanese Energy Conservation Center, and they make decisions in the Ministry of Public Works. Some of them have finished their PhD and teaching, and they all participate in our International ASHRAE Conference on Efficient Building Design. For the past 4 years, 4 times that was organized, and now the next one in 2022. You will see many of them submit papers, come and support this program. Most of that has also guided our research that have been impacted by the increased number of women who join our PhD and master program. So I tell you, I have over time, 80% of the PhD students who worked with us are females. If you go to the lab, the ratio is 80%, 4 to 1, 1 male, 4 females. Sometimes it's all females coming and attracted to this lab. They're all with mechanical engineering background. So we made them understand that the research goal is really to improve human productivity and health inside and outdoors with minimal energy use. And with that target, they understood thermal comfort needs, fresh air. We managed to build the capacity, and then we had the labs and the simulations and so on. So any area they want to get in, it's so interdisciplinary. It really has brought all these students to be contributors to advancing knowledge and advancing the profession. And I think we need more of them because the way they approach things is a little bit different. They have this communal perspective while they are targeting this. So I would like to ask you, will you really join RACHP and start a cool career for sustainable and better world? You should, the answer should be yes, and I'm referring to Women as Leaders book, where Alice Eagley said, there are multiple indications that women compared with men enact their leader roles with a view to producing outcomes that can be described as more compassionate, benevolent, universalistic, and ethical, thus promoting the public good. And this is why I got into this field. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nesreen, for this very inspiring speech, and I'm very happy about your results. I think this is very, very impressive, and I think you will get more female students in Beirut.
I hope so too. They are amazing. Once they get it, you know, they work on it.
Okay, thank you very much. And just to say that audience can send their questions to Q&A box. So please send your questions to Q&A box. And on the educational field, I will also now to try to introduce to you. See, we are now going from Beirut, Lebanon, to Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. And in Mongolia, we have Oyuna Pura Darch. And she is graduated from Hiroshima University, Japan, with a PhD in education. And she is an advisor at Technical and Vocational Education and Training Assessment, Information and Methodology Center of Mongolia, an organization that manages and supervises TVET sector in cooperation with professional associations and councils of employees. For the last few years, she has been working with the National Ozone Authority and a Refrigeration and Air Conditioning Council. So, Oyuna, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Anna. And this is a great opportunity for me indeed. And I really appreciate for UNEP for giving me this opportunity and present what we have gained and through the promotion of the women in Tibet. So, and I'm going to have the very brief the discussion about this, the women promoting gender equality in Tibet education, and because this is the very important field, a very important education, the level for the refrigeration and air conditioning workers, because the majority of the people in working in the cooling and air conditioning, refrigeration, they have graduated from the Tibet institutions. So it's a great pleasure to share my thoughts about this and with all of you. Okay, and the gender equality means the women and the men have the equal condition, treatment, and opportunities for realizing their potential human rights and dignity and contributing the country's economic and social development. And it basically has the 4 dimensions, and this one, equity of the access to Tibet education, equality in the learning process in the Tibet, the providers, equality of the educational attainment and outcomes, and equality of the external results. By today's presentation, I'm going to mainly focus on the equality of the access, I mean the enrollment and the participation of the girls in the Tibet education, and also equality of the educational outcomes. So, and I have go through all the experiences or initiatives the countries would like to promote to increase the participation of the women in Tibet. So, and the gender equality education has been increasing. In education, the attendance of the female students are increasing, and the women are more increasingly enrolling in higher education institutions, tertiary education institutions. But the problem is still existed in the Tibet sector because of some of the factors affecting the women participation in this education and training sector. And if you see this kind of the graph, it indicates the gender parity in the participation in technical and vocational programs. So if you see, and there are in totally 133 countries have been studied in the gender parity indexes were estimated, but only 31 out of the 133 countries achieved gender parity in technical and vocational education. With gender disparity in the Tibet enrollment persisting regardless of the national level of the development. So it's a very the resilient problem in Tibet sector. And if you see in the general tendency of the female participation, and it's very the achieving or scaling up, but still it has the problems in some of the countries. For example, Ethiopia, and currently just half of the female students and 20 of the trainers are female. So majority of them enrolled in the lower level training. The concentration of the females in short-term programs could go as high as 85%, opposed to long-term ones. So for example, in the Bangladesh, female participation in the Tibet is extremely low, and they ranging from 9 to 13% in the public institutions and 33% in the private institutions. And also in Kenya, you can see, and the female participation in the Tibet is very low. And this situation is also existing in Mongolia. And we have basically in general, the picture, the gender issue is not very much problem in education sector of Mongolia, but still it's very persistent problem in Tibet sector. And if you see the enrollment tendency for last 10 years, the female participation in Tibet is still low. So in some of the countries have very exciting results because the female students enrollment percentage or rate is very much equal to the boys, the participation. So it's exciting result. But depending upon what kind of occupation they choose is really it's going to give the very different picture. For example, if we see in the female participation is very much the consistent with the traditionally the female-dominated the occupations and the fields, like if you see the female and the cosmetologist and the shoemaker and baker, hairdresser, and the sewer, interior decorator, this kind of the traditionally female-dominated. And the field, the girls, the enrollment is very consistently good. But when we think about when we look at the technical fields like refrigeration and air conditioning, heat pumps, and other technical areas, the women, the participation enrollment is still very low. So, and the people may ask, what kind of factors influencing female participation, achievement, and progression in Tibet? So in the UNESCO UNEP organization, this is the United Nations Vocational Education Organization. So they have investigated this issue. Why? And the female students' participation or involvement in the Tibet sector is being the law, and it hasn't been improved. So they have categorized these kind of factors into 3 levels. The one is the very individual level, and the second is institutional level and societal level. So if we look at that factors that influence the female participation in Tibet at the societal level, there are 2 the biggest issues. That's the social norms, and the mass and social media, they tend to promote the occupations that's the male-dominated. Societal and cultural norms, and some of the cultures, the women are underestimated, and the gender equality, inclusive social norms. If we see the public policy, the equal pay legislations, gender equality policies, legislations and the policies, sex disaggregated data for the policymaking, these are the factors that influencing societal level, influencing the female participation in the Tibet. At the institutional level, the equipment, materials, and resources are sometimes not very much appropriate with the female students and student interaction, teachers' perception, because they tend to prefer boys in the technical fields, and the number of the female teachers and the teaching quality and the subject expertise, teaching strategies. If you look at the teaching materials in the curriculum, they always tend to show the boys' picture. So it's kind of the not very much sensitive to the genders. Physical and learning infrastructure in some of the Tibet schools, there isn't the women toilet, and some of the Tibet schools there isn't any the kind of facility, clothing rooms to change their clothes or uniforms before they enter to the workshop trainings, and assessment procedures, tools, career awareness and information, especially in the career guidance and awareness. The people tend to believe that there are certain profession that doesn't fit to the female. So it's very traditional, and a persistent belief still exists in the career guidance. But in the labor market organization, but also there is some problem to when they see or when they encounter with the female technicians. And the workplace culture, and for example, in some of the companies, they pay at the lower to the women, and also employees profile and physical environment. Sometimes it's very demanding for the female workers. Open and hidden employers' biases, perception of the safety in the workplace. And there are many gender equality studies, and they have conducted several surveys with the companies, and the difficult problem the female workers daily encounter is the sexual harassment, kind of touching. These kind of things are considered as a kind of factors that influence in the female participation. But at the individual level, the biological language, self-efficacy, self-perception, stereotypes, and occupational identities, interest, motivation, engagement, this kind of the characters, or how should I say, features, is also influence the female participation. And when we choose, as although we have experienced it, maybe when we choose the career, or the training organization or education career, the family and the parents' influence is very strong, and the children tend to listen their parents because they have the experience and they have been working in the labor market for a long time. And they usually, the parents have certain beliefs and expectation, and okay, so these are the factors that influence in the female inequality in Tibet. If you see the barriers, for example, in the refrigeration, air conditioning, and heat pump sector, and you can see the majority of them have lack of diversity, few women in leadership roles, insufficient professional, occupational discrimination, this kind of thing. So So we have been experiencing this kind of difficulties. So how we can solve this? What kind of initiatives can be they implemented? So, and I have listed up some of the initiatives. And the first one is at the institutional level, gender responsive curriculum and training, and also the gender inclusive environment in Tibet sector, women's uniform work clothes, machine adaptation to women's body. This kind of the actions need to be taken, and also female role models and flexible training modes applying lifelong learning principles. For example, and the women are usually very busy with the family chorus, so they need to have the time, and they need to given the time to attend the training when they are available. So it's one of the principles of the lifelong learning. And the financial support, the inclusion of the gender criteria and the evaluation of the quality assurance of training providers. And these kind of initiatives have been employed by the several countries, and they have, some of them have achieved the nice results and the promising and the practice there. And also there are some practical tips for internship guides for female students. And the gender disaggregated data is very important for policy making, and gender action plan should be the part of the Tibet strategic plan. So this is basically what has been done for last years, and some of them are very good practices. And then I would like to end my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yuna, and I'm sorry that you have so many things to tell, but anyway, these presentations they will be in the OzonAction meeting portal, and people can contact you if they want more information. But of course, now you can also ask your questions in a Q&A box. If we are not managing to reply to all of them, we will send you a reply to your email. Okay, let me go next. Thank you very much. And let me go next from Mongolia to Kuwait. We already in August we met for two Al-Ragun who was participating to our gender mainstreaming webinar on Montreal Protocol and gender mainstreaming, and some of you might know her already because she was very vocal in that that event. Dr. Al-Ragun holds a PhD degree from the University of Florida, Gainesville, in mechanical engineering, and she currently serves as a research scientist and energy efficient technologies program manager at the Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research. And she has over 25 years of experience, also in many fields, let me say, like energy conservation, energy efficiency, energy auditing, energy conservation code, air conditioning, and thermochemical hydrogen production. And she has also been a recipient of several national, regional, and international awards, and serves in several professional national and international committees, expert panels, and technical boards. So now, for two, we are giving you 5 minutes, and you know the bell is coming. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Anne. Do you get to see my screen? First of all, I just want to say thank you for making me part of this prestigious event. And actually, I'm honored to be among the speakers today. And I hope that some of my life experiences that I'm going to share with you today is going to inspire some of the women or girls who are attending this event. I have worked in several disciplines, but my main focus was on energy efficiency, and especially in the field of air conditioning. You've mentioned some of my specializations, and I just wanted to mention that most of the work that we do where I work at is basically related to air-conditioned building because of the harsh weather conditions that we live in Kuwait. Now, I wanted to share with you this, Jim mentioned, how important the agenda of the United Nations and how that the SDG 5 is actually asking or requesting for gender equality. So we can feel like the world right now is on our side. If you see the picture here on the cover of this book, you would see one of the one of the instructors who was appointed at MIT, and she was the only professor who was teaching chemistry in those days. That was back in the 1800s. It was very hard for her to be among those faculty during those times. And if you can see, like in my time when I was at Kuwait University, and just to let you know, I was a student when Dr. Nasreen was my advisor when I joined Kuwait University. She was the only professor who was, as I recall, a female who was teaching at mechanical engineering at that time. There was another one who was a scholar. She's right now a professor at Kuwait University. During my time, when we used to get in order to get into some of these scientific programs, you have to have higher like GPA or higher percentage from high school in order to join such programs. So you can see things have changed from those days in the 1800s, during my days in the 80s when I was in undergrad. So what I've recognized and what I consider as obstacles, like we need to think about them as opportunities, there are three main things. The culture, which was also mentioned in previous talks, and also the balance between family and work or studies, and the self-doubts. So examples they were mentioned, I mean, especially with the culture, like when I was in at the university, some of my professors was asking me, why did you even select studying in that field, like in mechanical engineering? When I used to go to some interviews, someone would tell me, you don't look like a mechanical engineer. You know, when I used to join training courses like for air conditioning, those who were in the workshop, they used to help me carry out things, and they didn't let me even touch some of the instruments because thinking that I'm not capable as a female. So these are some of the cultural issues that I used to face. In terms of balance, yes, it is not an easy equation. Actually, I had to balance work and study with my family. I had to delay certain things. When I went for my PhD, I went later, like when I was older. I was like in my PhD committee, one of my professors, I was 10 years older than him. So these things can happen. Well, you have to balance your life in order to achieve what you want. So in view of the self-doubt, as females, we always think twice before we apply for a certain job or a certain position. We always think, oh, am I fit for that position? So for me, what were the main elements of the recipe to success? Well, I thought that one of the main things, I had aims, I had like plans, and I will share with you some of them. So the main things is aim high, education, support, and of course you have to also network, and then don't forget to give back. Okay, so in terms of aiming high, I didn't even, like, I was daring to dream. I wanted to be a mechanical engineer. I wanted to pursue that field, even though I graduated with a very high GPA and I could have gotten to medical school, but I wanted to pursue that field. I wanted to work as a researcher. I wanted to work in air conditioning discipline. Even in high school, I attended a class that was providing AC literature, and that was actually something out of the norm during our days. I wanted to obtain my PhD, and all these things that I have achieved. I'm still waiting on the last tick, which is to reach top leadership position, whether as a director general or even minister in a related field. Education is very important, whether this education is linked to your degrees in terms of bachelor's, master's, PhD, or even continued education. Continued education is very important for you to continue and pursue your career, especially if it's related to some professional field. Like you can join organizations, for example, like ASHRAE. Support is very important. I couldn't have been where I am at right now without the support of my family or my friends, my supervisors, the groups that I've been attending, my colleagues. This is very important. In terms of networking, you can network because networking can provide you with the tool to pursue your career, and it can also empower you. It's important to join professional organizations. Don't be scared to join these professional organizations and be an active member. There are some of the organizations that can provide you with networking group. For example, in ASHRAE, there is Women in ASHRAE. For the Association of Energy Engineers, there is the Council of Women in Energy and Environmental Leadership. There are some groups in IEEE, and there is the Society for Women Engineers. Joint mentoring programs. These are all like tools that can help you to achieve what you want and pursue your career. And as I said, it's very important for you to give back. Once we realize a certain position, you really need to remember the others, how they were, like how you were when you were younger. You wanted some help. Giving back, there is different ways and forms for giving back. You can train students, you can mentor students as well. I've participated in several mentorship programs. I used to give talks to Kuwait University students in mechanical engineering to continue their and to continue studying in that field as well. I also gave some mentorship program, contributed when I was doing my PhD, also for women in engineering. As an example, this female, she's actually she's a very well-known scientist in the United States. She was her name is Margaret Inglis. I just wanted to share with you that she was a pioneer in the field of air conditioning. Like Dr. Nisreen mentioned, like, why do we get driven to join certain fields? Because we feel we want to give back to the society. So she contributed to developing the equation for thermal comfort because she thought that I can do something to make students more comfortable when they're studying, and I make people more comfortable in their homes. And she joined Carrier Engineering Group, and she was marketing air conditioning systems during her times. And she was inducted in the ASHRAE Hall of Fame after she died. So in summary, I just wanted to mention that remember to aim, remember to educate yourself, and also to seek support, to network, and to give back. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fatou. I really liked your presentation, and there is a lot of ideas behind this. So good advice for young students and all the women in general. Thank you very much. From right, we are going to Romania. We are going to call Graciela Maria Tarlea. She's a professor and research fellow, graduated from the PhD in mechanical engineering, bachelor degree in building service engineering from the Technical University of Civil Engineering, Bucharest, Romania. And she has over 39 years of experience as a refrigeration and mechanical engineer, working as an industry consultant and researcher in various aspects of energy projects in public and private sector. Like Graciela also holds a second hat. She is the president of Romanian General Association of Refrigeration. The floor is yours, Graciela. Thank you.
Thank you very much, first of all, for the opportunity to say some words about the huge effort with sacrificed personal life sometime, but many important results and contribution for the refrigeration and air conditioning and heat pumps world. I agree with my colleague from Kuwait, and I will give also, because we have only a few minutes, or present such a huge effort and activity. In my case, it's about 40 years. And I will give my example for a better understanding, and I will show you, first of all, active engagement of Romanian women in the refrigeration, air conditioning, and heat pump domain in the 8 national regions, because our country, you see, is like a fish, and we have 8 regions, and in each region we have a lot of women involved in refrigeration, air conditioning, and heat pump fields. We have professors, we have technicians, we have managers of companies, and many of them are with great success. I will show you 2 parts of this activity from the Technical University of Civil Engineering, because I'm a professor and engineer research fellow, graduated from PhD in mechanical engineering, bachelor degrees in building service engineering from this Technical University of Civil Engineering, Bucharest, Romania. And I have about 40 years experience as a refrigeration and mechanical engineer, working as an industry consultant and researcher in various aspects of energy projects in the public and private sectors. There were a lot of challenges, opportunities, but also barriers. And in my case, there were challenges as a PhD professor at this university, where I made more than 200 papers in 40 books published in the field of refrigeration and environmental protection in this 40 years of activity. We women, we have many responsibilities as professors. For example, I'm a PhD coordinator, and you have here some participants and some PhD students involved in this PhD thesis, and some of them are now with us. I organize also student branch, ASHRE, for my university is called the Student for Civil Engineering branch, because also I'm a PhD coordinator, but also branch student activity coordinator, and I was president of Untitled Chapter. Now I'm vice president. We are organizing also in our university European Union project coordination. We are organizing also leadership seminars, project guidance for air pollution physics, years course, environmental impact of refrigeration equipment and heat pumps. Leadership, of course, is also leadership seminars, laboratory work. I created an environmental laboratory for students, and also I'm coordinating PhD, master, and bachelor thesis. I'm also president, and I have a lot of colleagues, National Standardization Technical Committee for Refrigeration Techniques in Romania. And there are big challenges because I was, for example, elected 100% voted as the president of Romanian General Association of Refrigeration. And here you have examples from university, because we organize courses, we organize workshops, we organize exhibitions, and also we are in connexus with Technical University International School involved. As an academic activity, you can show, I can show you here some of my ICA articles with my students, books, journals, code of good practice, newsletters, conferences, and many others. You have here only some examples also for PhD and master thesis, and the journal I organize in my country, the only one we have in refrigeration and air conditioning, called Friga Clima Journal. Now about the activity in the association. As Anne told you, I'm the president of Romanian General Association of Refrigeration, and there are a lot of legal obligations, and I will give you some small examples. I work for market researchers, collaboration with ministries, Ministry of Environment, of Economy, on national consult on this Minister of Environment, and also one member of working groups in the implementation of EU legislation as F-gas regulation, directive for energy efficiency, and many others. I'm organizing conferences, and we are together with our group, technical and scientific symposiums. We also organize with UNEP. Some of you were invited in our beautiful countries, roundtables, workshops, and working sessions. We are organizing because the General Association of Refrigeration I'm leading is organizing the certification of specialists and competence, organizing national training certification in our country in the field of refrigeration and air conditioning in Romania. I'm also, and a lot of ladies are trainers for courses organized on technical attestation of specialists in the field of refrigeration. And as I told you, and I show you, we are organizing international exhibition on national and level also, and a lot of other activities. For example, we have here, we are national lead, our association in international project like EU for Life program, Real Alternative for Life with Refrigerants. Also, I will show you some images with our group, because also we are working with them now. And in the Frigo Clima journal, you can see these ladies. I think that some of them are here. And there were big challenges in my cases, because my daughter also enjoyed to work in this refrigeration and air conditioning field as an engineer, and to fight for environmental protection, reaching the position of environmental engineer in a very important EU Life project, and also as a social media expert, again, a winner in a men's world. So you see here some images from UNEP meeting and some congresses, and our cooperation with private sector and ministries, EPE, EVIA, IIR, and UNIDO. Again, it was very difficult, but nice, and thanks God. I like very much my life, my journey, because I can say that I am a winner after 40 years of hard work. My dreams come true, and I still have energy to work, to help people, students, my daughter. I'm vaccinated in this man world. Thank you for the opportunity to say some words about an immensely sacrificed life we have to do in this field. Wish you success and stay safe in this difficult virus time. And congratulations, organizer, for this important webinar and on this nice time, World Refrigeration Day. I wish you success, and thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, Graciela, for these very positive words. I mean, how often people say that my dreams have come true, and that is really huge amount of work done in Romania, and we congratulate you. And also with you were with us in ECA, a network meeting on gender mainstreaming, and we were very, very impressed about the work in Romania. So thank you very much. And now we are going to go from Romania to United Kingdom, where we will meet another very inspiring lady, Alexandra Knight. Alex is a chartered engineer and fellow of Institution of Mechanical Engineers based in UK, with over 15 years of experience working in industry. She founded STEAM Amazing in 2019, a social enterprise dedicated to inspiration and inclusion of science, technology, engineering, maths, STEM, now focusing STEAMazing full-time. She is very passionate about supporting women in STEM to shine as confident, visible role models and inspire our future generations of innovators and problem solvers, as women normally are, no? And she is also a visiting professor with the Royal Academy of Engineering at Brunel University, London. What I want to say also about her is that she won the Champion Award by We Are the City in 2020 for her work to lead change in gender diversity and inclusion. So Alex, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Anne, and thank you everybody for inviting me and for the organising committee for putting on such a fabulous event. I'm absolutely blown away by all the speakers, so informative and inspiring, so thank you so much. And what I'm going to talk about is not really my career over the last 15 plus years, but what I'm doing now that I have full-time focused on STEAMazing, the organisation that I set up a couple of years ago, and tell you about what we're doing to support women and greater diversity in engineering, because it's obviously very related to everything that's been talked about today. And the first thing I wanted to mention was that despite the progress, and we have got things to celebrate, there is still a lot of work to do. These are some stats from the UK, from Engineering UK data, but I believe that they are quite common kind of issues that we have around the world, in that there's kind of three elements to the problem of why we do not have more diversity in engineering or more people going into engineering full stop. 73% of 11 to 14-year-olds don't know what engineers do. 69% of parents don't know what engineers do. And 42% of teachers don't feel confident giving engineering careers advice. This is some stark evidence to say we in the engineering community need to do a better job of telling the world about what we do in engineering. And that is a part of the problem that then filters into why we do not have enough diversity in engineering. So in STEAMazing, I set up STEAMazing to focus on two areas. One, STEAMazing women, supporting women to be more confident and visible role models. And two, STEAMazing kids, to inspire, mainly aimed at primary school children. So that's kind of age of about age kind of 6 to 9-year-olds, and to combine these two things by giving young people role models who are women in STEM, which is science, technology, engineering and maths. So we want to give more children the opportunity to see female role models who do jobs like engineering. And it's really important that we tackle gender stereotype bias early. So there's lots of research to show that gender stereotype bias, so starting off thinking this is the kind of thing a girl does, this is the kind of thing a boy does, that starts very, very young. Typically between the age of 3 to 5, children are already showing less support for counter-stereotypical STEM career choices. So like a girl wanting to be an engineer. Already at that age, children have come to the conclusion that engineering is for boys. And what we're also finding is lots of research showing that having female role models is a win-win situation. So we know, obviously we talked about it a lot today, the importance of having female role models in engineering to inspire girls to go into engineering. That is critical because you see somebody like you and you think, okay, I can do that. But it's also very interesting to know that female role models have a very positive influence on boys as well. So boys that interact with female educators don't think they are any less able or respected, so they still believe they can go into engineering. but they have a more equitable view of girls and women in STEM. And that is so important because that is a key part of unconscious bias, creating inclusion problems in STEM cultures. So I feel like female role models as a win-win is so important for boys and girls. And early childhood is a key window that educational interventions, so having female role model engagement, can have a greater impact. So there's studies in the Journal of Applied Developmental Psychology that show just how important it is to give young children countertypical examples, particularly around careers in engineering. So one of the things I'm doing in STEMazing is building the profile of women in engineering, and I'm really pleased that on my program at the moment I've got a lot of women in refrigeration, so a lot of women engineers in refrigeration, all in different countries. So I've got 5 women in Africa who are refrigeration engineers on the program, women in around Europe, in the States, and all around the UK. And I wanted to give you one example of one of the women who works in the refrigeration industry in this next quick video.
Hi, this is Deepika Bhaskar, working for Carrier Commercial Refrigeration as product manager for the group control systems. My work is all about determining the right set of controllers for the refrigeration so that the food is farm fresh and hygienic. There are a few aspects which really inclined me towards taking STEM subjects. As a child with curiosity, my parents bought me books like Encyclopedia and How Stuff Works, where I could experiment them and really enjoy the science behind it. On the other hand, I come from a male-dominated society, cultural manner, where girls perceive STEM as a right choice, and I really wanted to prove at a point that women are no less than men, and I wanted to shine and excel in this field. I think the very purpose of STEM is to serve the humanity. One of the coolest things is I had an opportunity to visit the tea plantations in India, interact with the labor community, and devise an automatic tea harvesting machine. They could really harvest the yield to the maximum and reap huge benefits. I indeed felt very happy that I could help the whole community. I would like to say to young Deepika, don't let the cultural biases affect you. Don't think about what others think about you. Follow your passion, lay out the plans, strive with determination, and achieve your dreams. The next projects at work are really fascinating and suiting the digital era. We are developing intelligent controllers which can make the system take decisions by itself and make the system more efficient. I'm really looking forward to it.
So you can see from that, as one example, all the women that are on the program and other women that I encourage to do these videos, which are all self-videoed, little short bite-sized videos giving an insight to them and helping raise their profile. You can see on this slide that at the moment we have 45 women, and they are all building their confidence to be more visible role models, and then engage with primary school children to deliver a range of science and engineering based activities into schools, all online via Zoom, because obviously around the world with COVID at the moment, we can't go into schools, but also doing it online means that we can break down any geography barriers. So women are delivering these STEM sessions to schools that they are not even in the same country as, live to children, so the children can ask questions and they can see how they're getting on. And we're getting fantastic feedback about how the children are appreciating seeing women engineers delivering these sessions for them. And also I'm getting fantastic feedback from the women saying how it's boosting their confidence with public engagement, which is not just about making a difference to young people right now, it's making a difference to them in their career. They feel more confident speaking up in meetings, raising their ideas, putting themselves for promotion. And that shows the importance of empowering women in their career to be confident and courageous, and to put themselves forward as visible role models in their business community, as well as engaging with young people and doing more STEM outreach, because there aren't enough women in engineering, and it's going to stay that way unless we do a lot more to demonstrate the role models that we do have and engage with children to inform, influence, and inspire them to become our future innovators and problem solvers. So thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Alexandra, for this very interesting presentation. You can really make a difference. Huh? And please stay for maybe you have more questions later on. Thank you very much, Alexandra. From United Kingdom, we are going to move to United States to discuss the building career through refrigeration associations. And we will welcome now Helen Walter Terinoni, who is Vice President of Regulatory Affairs at the Air Conditioning, Heating and Refrigeration Institute, IHRI. Helen, the floor is yours. And may I ask, because we are so packed today, to give your presentation in 7 minutes, please. Is that okay?
Of course, yes. And yes, I can be very speedy. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about challenges and opportunities for women in preparing for the transition to low global warming potential refrigerants. And I want to thank you all for inviting me to speak today. I greatly appreciate it. I have, of course, a great deal of value for helping women to move forward and pursue careers in the refrigeration and air conditioning and heat pump RACHP industries. So there is significant work to be done in the to ensure that there's an orderly transition to low global warming potential refrigerants. An orderly transition requires a great deal of work, from creating regulations to communicating with people about new refrigerants and about the transition and the regulations, safety standard development, building code changes, consideration around new transportation and handling, perhaps of some of the flammable refrigerants, new equipment design, training for technicians and other stakeholders, research, strategic modeling, how does the phase down work, and to make sure that countries stay under their caps, component and refrigerant design, as well as, just the people that are out there in the field, technicians, contractors, distributors, business owners, business people, engineers, designers, and then refrigerant management strategy. So at the end of life, or making sure that we're reducing leaking equipment to keep the refrigerant inside. This is just a sampling, but there's so much work to do, and there's so many people that will be involved in this transition. So this all has to be done while we continue to make sure that cold chains and life-saving climate control for nursing homes and hospitals and schools and residential homes and facilities and businesses all are available. Cold chains for vaccines and food, all those things need to continue to operate as they do today, in addition to this other work. There will be a lot of opportunities for people, and because there's just significant work to be done. So women can participate in a meaningful way as engineers and in traditional technical roles, and in any of these less technical roles as well. There are just not enough people to do this work. And the turnover rate, not only in A5 parties, but also in non-A5 parties, is very high, which means that there are opportunities for lots of different people. So we often find that technicians for example, will come in and do this sort of work, and then they move on very, very quickly to do something else. So that means there's a lot of opportunity, even from the technician level up through very high and complex technical levels. There's a lot of opportunity with all of that turnover to kind of step into this industry. So I guess my advice for anybody that might be listening would be, to be brave and ask for opportunities and mentoring. There's a lot of important work to do, and you can make a contribution. The biggest thing that I would suggest to anybody that's looking to move forward in this space would be to offer to do the work. So if you're involved in a safety standard, if you're involved in ASHRAE or other associations, offer to do the work, and you will move forward. You will move ahead. There's so much important work to do, and if you step up and raise your hand and say, I will help, doors will open for you, and you will have opportunities to have even more interesting things to do. So how can we encourage and support women in these roles? I think there were there's certainly discussions in the previous presentations, but certainly networking with women, mentoring, listening, and just reaching out. And whether you're on either side of that relationship, don't hesitate to be brave. And some of us as engineers, I'm an engineer. Some of us as engineers are maybe a little bit shy or introverted, and maybe not brave about kind of reaching out and talking to other people. And you just need to be brave and do that. And generally you will be very welcome, and you will have a very good reception. So finally, let's see. So that is my final piece of advice, Anne Maria, is to be brave and reach out, volunteer to help, and there are a lot of opportunities. We at AHRI are often looking for people for our certification department, and I know that other associations are in the same situation, and certainly with all of these roles out there. There are a lot of opportunities to get involved for women. So thank you, and thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you so much, Helen. This was very good advice for all of us, I think. So let's remember this advice from Helen. From United States, we are moving to Colombia. To meet a very impressive lady called Claudia Sanchez. Claudia is an architect from the National University of Colombia and has master's degree in design, emphasis in interdisciplinary studies from the North Carolina State University. She is the executive director of the Colombian Refrigeration Association, HVACR, and she is also an executive secretary of the Federation of Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Associations, FAIAR. Claudia, you are the last but not the least, so the floor is yours. And I would like to ask you also the same what I did to Helen, that please, if you could limit your intervention to 7 minutes.
Yes,
thank you very much.
Yes, Anne-Marie, thank you. Can you hear me well? I'll try and do my best to be quick.
Yes.
I know I can do it. Okay, first of all, thank you again for inviting me here. And I wanted to thank again the group, this extraordinary group of women that are already inspiring us and all the viewers. And I will be taking some notes because I took some of the comments that you all made. And this is a quote I really struck me. And why? Because it is still the situation for so many women around the world. I wanted to show you where I come from, where I live, where I work, and the place I know best. This is Colombia, and I guess you all have heard of this good Colombian coffee you probably enjoy. And most of the professionals I've been working with for the last 20 plus years are mechanical engineers. And I asked myself, what is a mechanical engineer? So I looked in the engine searchers, and I looked in Google and on some other search engines, and this is what I found. And I checked in the word that Fatu say that is this a mechanical engineer? I don't think so. Why cannot be this one? And she said, somebody told her, you don't look like a mechanical engineer. Yeah, you don't. Because there is social imaginary. This is again from some of the search engines. You see, there is one of these many images where you can find a woman. And it is the same. At least, what I say is at least in Colombia and probably in some other countries. And why do I say that? Because I did some research and I found out that this is the numbers that show the percentage of women participating in mechanical engineer on HVACR as careers. Although Nesreen mentioned some huge and very good numbers, 40% master, 50%, 80% PhD. It's not the situation around Colombia. I don't think it's the situation in Latin America. This is Colombia. This is the percentage of mechanical engineering graduates by gender in Colombia. When I hear her saying this 40% of 80%, 80%, I went, okay, so we've got a lot of work to do for sure. You can see how many women, how many men go to engineering, mechanical engineering. I'm focusing on mechanical engineers. It's not the same with other engineers, but it is in Colombia, at least in the mechanical engineering field. And we did some other webinars celebrating the World Refrigeration Day, and this is the percentage of the registration. So the numbers in Colombia, the numbers in our region are consistent. The percentage of women is really low. So from ACAIRE, we decided some years ago to take some actions. We need to encourage women to work, to participate in our field. So we have a big event like the associations have is an expo and congress, and we did our first Women in HVACR industry panel. Everybody was asking, why did you do that? Well, we need to show the work we do. And also the second project, this is a project I really love. It was working with high schoolers to encourage them to go to training and careers in HVAC field. And we got 50%. Now we do have better statistics, 50% girls, 50% boys. And then the pandemic came. So we need to retake again this project, which really is going to make a difference in our field. So we took some actions on some other actions. So we learned a lot. And I'm gathering from all the notes of the things you said. This is, I guess, is kind of getting and closing all the comments you made. What do we need? We need to drive systemic change in education and careers. It's systemic, cannot be like we are doing now. I recognize myself, isolated actions. We need committed leadership, and you all, these great professionals that are here with us today, they are the leaders we need. We need financial and human resources. We also need to understand the context, the national, the interinstitutional context, data collection. I also recognize we have no data. We need to show data to improve whatever we're doing. Interinstitutional approach, nurturing environment, and some very personal aspects I find is one is this self-confidence you also, or most of you talk about, and also to accept constructive criticism. This is something I think we really need to build on women because definitely gender equality concerns at all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Claudia. You were faster than I thought.
I knew it had to be.
So no belt for you, Claudia. Thank you very much for this this very inspiring speech. And now I think we all put our cameras on and we start the Q&A session. I'm sorry we are over time already, but this has been so interesting that it went over. So I was not a very good bell keeper. There is a question now for Dr. Nesreen. Is there regional exchange to exchange awareness about the role women can play in the refrigeration sector across the regional institutions? Is the question clear?
I need to understand the question. If I can see it or you can repeat it. Is
there a regional exchange to enhance awareness about the role? Is there a regional exchange to enhance the awareness of the role of women they can play in the refrigeration sector?
You know, the change is happening in the region and it's happening in the profession. The more women who are entering the field, they are influencing other women to go through this. Now, if I consider the education, the academic institutions, for example, the change is there because women faculty presence is also increasing. Like Futuh said, there are other women in Kuwait, at Kuwait University. I know women at Qatar University. I know women at in UAE, at Masdar. I know women in the Lebanese university. So more women get attracted to that field. But when it comes to the research, the women who graduate, like, you know, right now we say we're graduating 1 or 2 PhD students in the HVAC field. And they are landing in jobs that are in teaching and in research, and they are influencing other women. And I see the change because many universities are finding, are changing also their, let's say, goals to have more gender equality in the positions of the faculty, especially in STEM fields like engineering. So if you're looking for a change or opportunities, it's happening. I tell you, some of the ladies that went into the profession, they are changing the way their companies are doing projects and doing design for buildings. So I don't know if this answers the question, but I'm seeing this because I've been in this profession. You know, I finished my PhD in 1985, so it's been 31 years. And I know what has happened.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nesreen. Then I have a second question for Dr. Graciela. Are there opportunities for girls in your country's technical college to do some internship in refrigeration industries or projects? So is there a possibility to do summer internships?
Yes, we are organizing each summer internship for our students, male or female, doesn't matter. And also I'm organizing now because I'm coordinating my students and also the association And we have another possibility because we are cooperating with companies, and we have the patronage for refrigeration and air conditioning of Romania, and the companies from this association have protocols with universities. So each summer we have this internship, and we have also internship abroad with students. Of course, it's a great opportunity for our students to learn, and a great opportunity for companies to see what students it's okay, it's good, and it's students. Sometimes they get part-time jobs, and finally they are employed after they finish the faculty. So the answer is yes. We have this summer school cooperation with companies and internship. And also I'm working now with this moment I'm working to organize this, because summer will come quickly.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Graciela. Then the next question is from Ayuna. You analyzed the barriers of women to join TVET education as well. We understand how to handle the institutional and professional levels, but challenging part is the society barriers. How do you think we can overcome such society barriers? A little bit difficult question.
Yeah, social barriers are everywhere. It's very difficult to deal with. And the changing the people's belief and attitudes usually takes time. So, and you need, for example, in my country, to change the behavior of the social norms, the behaviors and the norms of the people, we have promoted the national skill competition, and whatever the results the girls the shows, the female the candidates in the competitions, they are highly promoted, and through the online and through the conventional media and social media. So it's attracting the many female students. So this kind of gradual, the awareness raising programs and the promotion, the outreach programs are very important to change the social, the behavior or attitude towards the female participation in Tibet. And also, the employers can play a very important role to change the social, the attitude. And the employers, of course, the majority of the employers, they tend to hire the male, the workers. But nowadays, since the promotion of the national skill competition, and for example, in the refrigeration and the air conditioning professional associations, they would like to hire some female engineers and technical workers at the managerial and the staff level. So these people are going to be the role models. And this kind of activities and the programs can change the people's attitude, but it takes time.
Thank you so much, Ayuna. The next question is going to Alex. Alex, are you ready? You made an interesting presentation about how we can build women careers in engineering from level 1, basic education. How do you think it can be connected to governmental educational programs to motivate young ladies?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where we need that bottom-up approach, but we also need a very strong top-down approach. So at government level, helping to change the perception, even the branding of engineering, so that it is more attractive and more open to a diverse talent pool. You know, we need more engineers, full stop, and particularly more women in engineering. And because we don't have enough people going into engineering anyway, opening up the pool of talent to 50% of the population makes complete sense. but it's not the obvious choice. And that comes back to, I think, a lot around branding, perception, role models, even in our educational materials. That's already been mentioned today, making sure that the role models that are depicted in educational materials, in storybooks, on television programs, in social media, are a balanced set of role models, showing that it's both for women and for men. And I think for government to support that communication and branding and perception, and also to support programs that do help to engage children at all different levels of education in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and maths, so that children see this as an accessible option for them. And I'm sure that there's more that needs to be done in providing support to teachers as well, so that teachers know what the options are and opportunities are, that they can pass on that message to children, because children are influenced by their parents, by what they see in media, by their teachers. So we need to support all of those to have the messaging that gives children the information and the inspiration.
Thank you very much, Alex. Then there is a lot of interest. I see there's a lot of questions. There is two for Dr. Fatou. For Dr. Fatou, as a researcher conducting applied research in the industry, in refrigeration industry, how do you evaluate the industry commitment to engage women? And the second one, do you apply certain gender equality policy in the projects that you are managing?
Yeah, for the first question, I mean, and I can speak in the Middle East area or specifically in the Arab countries. I don't see like a serious commitment from the industry to engage women, but yet we have to think about it. I mean, when there is a job, they don't actually say we would like to hire a man or a woman. There is just this qualification, and then you can apply. So I would think like the issue is, do we as women actually apply for these jobs? That's the thing. But in terms of the industry commitment, if there is a way where they can, through certain programs, they would say like, yes, we would like to hire females in that area, that would be something I would consider as something to encourage females to attempt and apply for these jobs. And I think right now with gender equality, SDG 5, this will bring attention to this area, and that will empower and women also in order to apply for these jobs. And maybe some of these manufacturing industry will start allocating such jobs for women as well. Now, the other part, which is, do I apply certain gender, you said gender equality when I hire? This is what you mentioned? The second question? Anne?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, when we hire, we usually hire based on qualification. Yes, I tend to like admire females because I know in this profession you need to encourage them. But let me tell you something, most of the applicants who are with the higher grades who apply for the jobs where I work at are mainly females. And so it's not just like there is a policy, it's based on qualification. But to give you an idea, the group that I'm working with, we have a group of 25, and I have females, 9 females in that group. The only researcher who is specialized in air conditioning is me, but the younger ones, I'm also encourage them, and I'm going to send them out for scholarship to study specifically in the field of air conditioning.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fatou, for these 2 answers for these 2 complicated questions. Then I have one question for both to Claudia and to Helen. So Helen and Claudia, what Refrigeration, Air Conditioning and Heat Pump Association can do more? So both of you, what the associations can do?
This is Helen. So I think, I think a lot of times we act, a lot of times talent is recognized at the associations, and we recognize the talent of our member companies, the women and men in our member companies. We also have hire talent that works with us, and often it's recognized by companies, and frankly, a lot of times companies hire our employees, and so it offers growth opportunities for women who excel and volunteer and work hard. I think we interact with a lot of people at associations, and so we do have an opportunity to mentor and to network and to build relationships with people and to try to help them to grow in their roles. Even though that's not our main job, we are very fortunate and have that opportunity to do that every day. So I think we certainly need to continue those efforts and continuing to encourage growth through those mentoring and networking opportunities, as well as, in our hiring practices, as was mentioned earlier, we hired based on capability, but I'll tell you that we have hired a number of very capable women at our association, and we'll continue to do so.
Yeah, I agree.
Thank you, Helen. Claudia?
I agree with Helen, but I think we associations lead by example, and we have a lot of opportunities to mentor, like Helen mentioned, but also we need to promote, at least from our side, we need to promote the engagement of women in most of the projects, to show our companies, to show our members that there is a need to increase the number of women in the companies, to show them the benefits of having women in the companies, and to something that I just realized by listening to you all, we need to show them by numbers. We need to tell them, out of 100% of our members, how many have women, how many don't, what are the opportunities. But to me, it's leading by example. That will be the main issue for associations. We are 13 people at our association. We have 10 women, and the same that happens to HRI. Some of the girls who have mentored or we have worked with us have gone to the companies. So it is also an opportunity to show and to send them, these women, very capable to work with the companies.
Thank you very much, both of the associations, for these answers. I would like to thank the people behind the scenes, Ayman El Talouni, who organized this event, and also Samira de Coper, who has been helping behind the scenes. So thank you very much. But now, please stay there. I will call back Jim Gerlin.
Thanks, Sam. I hope you can hear me. And sorry, I know we're running a little bit late, but just to say a couple of quick words. I'm truly humbled by our 7 excellent speakers. I've been really impressed by both their professional trajectories as well as their personal stories. You all are truly inspiring, and it's really powerful stuff. I mean, I've taken notes and listened attentively, and all of your stories demonstrate success in spite of barriers. So you're all examples of success that we're proud to hold up. There was a frequent statement that you all made, that you heard that you don't look like an engineer. So that struck me. And if you ask me, you all look exactly like what engineers and STEM professionals are supposed to look like today. Another thing that I noted was the universality of this issue. Anne kept saying, she was saying, we're moving from Mongolia to Kuwait to the UK, around the world. The issues are the same. You all have similar challenges. And you also had a similar sense of perseverance and of keeping your eye on the prize. So, you know, your self-determination really played an important part in your professional careers. One thing I would note is that gender equality is like a large ship. You have to keep applying constant pressure if you want to change the course, and it takes a long time for the ship to respond and to start going in the new direction. I think all of you have said that through your presentations. But I'd like to also say that, like a large ship, once it starts moving in that new direction, it's hard to move it from the course, and that new direction is set. So hopefully we're all of this pressure that you have been applying and the good work that you've been doing and others is going to help move the ship in the direction towards gender equality. To mention a couple of things that I learned from you. So from Nesreen, you know, the need to orient ourselves towards human well-being and societal benefits. I mean, that's a really important lesson. From Oyuna, we heard that, you know, the situation is very different from one country to the other, but there's a lot of good things that can be done in the Tibet field in particular. From Futu, we learned that the influence of culture, but also noting the importance of work-life balance and following a recipe for success. From Graciela, she explained that national RAC associations can be a motor to promote gender equality. From Alexandra, she said, you can't be what you can't see, and she emphasized that role models are important, the need to engage early at primary school level, and to inform, influence, and inspire. From Helen, she showed that opportunities abound for careers in air conditioning and refrigeration related to the global refrigerant transition. And she said, be brave, ask for mentoring, volunteer and offer to do work, join in, network, reach out. From Claudia, she said, she showed that perseverance can change the statistics, but she also said there's a lot of work that still has to be done. And she said, learn the lessons that we've already learned, and that gender equality concerns us all. And I think, you know, that last statement is absolutely correct. And I think Stephen in the beginning mentioned, you know, it's both the women and the men who have to be involved in finding the solution. I think all of you have said that. So again, I'd like to thank all of you. This has been a great discussion. I also thank Anne, Ayman, Samira, Stephen, and all of our 7 great speakers for this event. And UNEP OzonAction is really proud to have hosted this. So thank you all very much.